everybody, and welcome in to Blue Jays Today, coming to you from the Sports Interaction Studio, where obviously we always got something to say about the Toronto Blue Jays. We are deep in the offseason, folks, and come Monday, we are going to get some winter meetings. So this is like I don't even think it's going to be a quiet weekend. I do think that things are going to happen.
Yep.
But like this is kind of the quietest it's going to be for, I would say, the next 10 days or so, because things are just going to continue to heat up, to ramp up, and you are going to see a plethora of moves happening, not just with the Toronto Blue Jays, but with MLB as a whole. We're going to break down the latest rumors, the latest reports, the latest everything. We're going to get one of our friends from Off the Roster to help us do it momentarily. I'm your host, Nicholas Playlock.
I'm your host, Adam Peddle. I've been saying this for a while now. Feels like this is the calm before the storm, and luckily for the Blue Jays, the calm is Dylan Cease and, Cody Ponce.
Really not that calm,
It's really not that calm, which means that the storm is going to be even better. So hopefully some crazy things happen, and if you've been following along on Blue Jays Today, where are we at right now in terms of all the Blue Jays stuff? Well, we know they're looking at a relief pitcher. We know they got their eyes on the big target of Kyle Tucker, and then where does Bo Bichette fall into the mix of all that? We're going to discuss that this evening, because honestly, and I hate to be this guy to throw it out there, but I'm actually starting to lean more that it's possible that the Blue Jays could get both.
Yeah.
Than before, not just in comparison to all these other outcomes. I'm saying before I was thinking 3%. We were having that discussion one Blue Jays Today show, 3% it happens. I think it might be a little bit more likely than that. I'm serious.
Look, it's not impossible, and I guess we've been kind of flip-flopping back and forth on this for a while now about how likely or unlikely it is. It feels like a fairy tale dream. I don't want to go too deep down the rabbit hole and get my hopes up and think, oh my God, we're gonna get Kyle Tucker and Bo Bichette and Edwin Diaz, and it's gonna be awesome, and we're gonna be the Lakers of the MLB. So I don't want to go too deep into that, but there has been more reports coming out from some notable guys, Heyman and Morosi and Ken Rosenthal. There's a lot of people right now talking about the Toronto Blue Jays and how it just feels like we're favorites for everyone. You got to imagine that some more names are going to cross the finish line. Quick shout out right here to It's Crazy Fish 784. He's been a member for 5 months. Pick 2, Tucker, Bo Diaz.
Okay, I know that we did this before, and I was like, yeah, Diaz, and then and Tucker, that's the obvious one, because Diaz is the beast in the back end. But just from a WAR standpoint, Tucker Bo. Tucker Bo, that's going to be 5, 6, 7 WAR each from each guy. And then we'll figure out closers later on. Again, they're so volatile. I know those guys are absolutely locked in.
It's Tucker Diaz. It is Tucker Diaz. I will live and die on that hill. It is Tucker Diaz. You guys let us know in the comments down below how you feel about all that. And then we have people in the chat saying all three. And honestly, based on the way that the offseason's been going so far and the rumors that are coming out, God only freaking knows. This was a recent report that just came out, and this was a name that I did not expect at all. Kazuma Okamoto. Have you heard of him before? Because I didn't until 24 hours ago.
I didn't. We saw him during the World Baseball Classic, but there was obviously a lot of other star names that were overshadowing this guy right here. And Kazuma is pretty damn good. And I like to look at the NPB, and it's very pitcher dominant. You'll see the average pitcher ERA, and I'm just pulling this number out of my ass. A bad average would be of ERA would be around the 3.5 mark. That's bad. Whereas MLB, that's pretty damn good. So obviously it's very pitcher dominant. Whereas you look at Kazuma, he's had a pretty damn good career. He batted .322 last season in 2025 at 29 years old with an OPS of .992. That's phenomenal. Home runs, not that many, 15, but he's an all-around contact, put the ball in play kind of hitter, which is what the Toronto Blue Jays are. And, do we need a guy like Kazuma? Not necessarily need, but I would want a guy like Kazuma, because why wouldn't you want to go get more offense if it is available for you?
I mean, look, I will never turn down a good baseball player, and that's ultimately what he is, okay? It's tough to say exactly what he's going to be at the MLB level, because we don't know. He's never played at MLB, but he's been pretty damn good over there in Japan. He is not at the level of Munetaka Murakami, who maybe some of you have heard about. That's kind of the most coveted Japanese free agent this offseason, but still, somebody who's batting over 300, has an OPS close to 1 in the following year. I mean, it's obviously not Kyle Tucker's levels of excitement here, but I'd still be feeling pretty good to add this guy onto this roster and just get more quality baseball players, dude. Like, I like having a roster that is deep with people I like.
Absolutely. Now, where would he play for the Blue Jays? Well, third base and first base is what he primarily played last year. More third base than first base. So obviously, third base is pretty flexible for the Blue Jays compared to first base. So that's pretty locked up with a guy who gets paid $500 million. So not much flexibility right there. But third base, I guess there's an opening. Like, you're splitting between Ernie Clement and Addison Barger. I mean, if you sign this guy, like, you're going to have to play this guy at third base. And those other guys, they got other positions they can play, so they can go and find homes elsewhere. So if the Blue Jays, if you wanted to do it, go ahead. And you look at how much he would get paid. I mean, guys, like, again, I know I feel like a rich, like, asshole right here by saying this, but $80 million for 5 years?
You are a rich asshole. Or at least you're a fan of a team.
Of a rich asshole. I'm a fan of a rich asshole. Let's go for it. I'm not calling Edward Rogers a rich asshole, by the way. But 5 years, $80 million, $16 million a year.
What's $16
million?
We have plenty more millions of dollars. And it does feel like very pompous to take that stance on things. And honestly, like, I've been the most outspoken individual when it comes to baseball needing a salary cap to allow some of the smaller market teams to be more competitive. I feel bad for the squads like the Cincinnati Reds or like the Miami Marlins of the world. I genuinely feel bad for them, and I do want to see a world one day where you can bridge that gap a little bit. But whilst we're living in a world where money talks and money wins, fuck it. Let's flaunt that thing. $16 million is nothing for the Toronto Blue Jays. I mean, Edward Rogers is wiping his ass with $16 million these days.
Yeah, I know. And I got someone here named Drummer saying, don't want this guy. And okay, like, I'm curious to hear why you wouldn't want this guy. He batted .322 over there in the NPB. But for me, it's like, just add more quality players and whatever. Like, you won't feel bad about it. Now, maybe I'll play a little bit of devil's advocate. We added a guy that is roughly getting paid around that mid-teens mark after you take away a lot of the deferrals, which is Anthony Santander, that takes up a pretty valuable corner position in right field. And we were just saying right before we record, that really so far hasn't worked out. I still believe he's got a year to prove himself, maybe another year to see if he can hit 30 plus bombs again. So I'm not ruling him out. But right now, it's like you're looking at all these potential free agents we want to get and moving guys around. He kind of becomes a little bit of a problem. Would this guy become a little bit of a problem if he isn't going to pan out the way, over 5 years?
I don't know, man. I mean, I don't think it would be as much of one because, ultimately, like, let's say it is $16 million. I guess that is still, a decent chunk of change and, you'd feel some sort of tie to him. But ultimately, like, maybe you don't put him on a 5-year deal then. If you're worried about that, if you're concerned about him being a liability later down the line if it's not working out, maybe it is only a 2-year or a 3-year deal. I saw somebody in the chat saying 3 years for $60 million. Give him the Chris Bassett treatment. And you know what? If he's good, awesome. If not, you're not going to feel too terrible about potentially trading him later or, maybe when we're getting closer to the end of that thing, cutting ties. I don't think that would happen, though, because, again, we are talking about somebody that had almost a 1 OPS in the NPB. So I do think that some of those skills would certainly translate. And he does play some relatively good defense, just looking at some of the, the numbers there, the fielding percentage.
The standard fielding percentage.
Standard fielding percentage, and also the lack of errors, too. So he's been relatively good in that regard. So I think it would pan out. But for those of you that are worried, the good thing is Toronto's got all the money in the world. And we're paying somebody like Andres Jimenez, incredible amounts of money to,
play defense. He's
right?
here to play defense.
Worst case scenario, this guy would come in and play defense, but I don't think it would be the worst case scenario.
Yeah, and honestly, if we do get this guy, probably what would happen, I don't think they go get Bo Bichette and this guy because that's like 2 infielders just clogged up right there. Now you're kind of running into a big problem, but I actually probably think they go get this guy if you miss out on like a Bo Bichette of the world. And like now you move, obviously Jimenez over to short, and then Ernie over to second, and then this guy could go take third base. And then you got Barger in the outfield. So yeah, like for me, this is one of those things where I feel like it's not going to be an urgent need because there are bigger fish to fry. No offense to Kuzma. But
Yes, exactly. I mean, there are ultimately other individuals out there that I would prefer, Kyle Tucker being one of them. However, you love to see that. I also love to see, too, that Toronto's in on that Japanese market. That's something that we've been talking about for a while now, is like, are we going to be in there? Are we not going to be in there? And clearly that is the case. So who knows? Maybe that marketing over there in that boxing match back in the day, it's already starting to pay off, man, like a week later.
And we'll talk about it later. We'll talk about the vibes of the Blue Jays. I mean, we talk about it all offseason, but there's even more to conversations happening with the vibes. Now, I believe that we have Cabbie in the wings right now.
He says that he's not sure, so let's
go flash it over
and see if he is at this current juncture of time. Cabbie, you know him, obviously you love him, but he is right now, I believe, in his vehicle, and he is now.
Yes,
he is on camera.
Yeah, we see his face. We'll bring him in, guys. Let me present to you Mr. Cabbie Richards. Welcome in, my friend.
What up, bro?
What is going on?
Man,
this
guys,
bundled up.
I am so sorry that I've made this so much more difficult than it needs to be. Please accept my apologies, and I apologize to your audience for a less than ideal situation. I'm so sorry, fellas.
Hey, look, you're still wearing the tie. You're still looking good. So, like, it doesn't matter. You're here. You showed up. That's all we really care about, Cabbie, right now.
And ultimately, some might argue that this level of dedication to stream from your car is a plus, right? Some might look at it that way. Not saying I do, but I'm just saying some people might.
I feel like one of those retired athletes that shoot like interviews from their on their way to pick up their kids, or like at the leaving the gym, and they just call in from their car, and like they never properly look into the lens. Like it's like your dad or some coach is looking over the camera. I hope it's not that bad.
Funnily enough, I know he's not retired, but we had Tyler Heineman on the show a couple weeks back, and quite literally, he was in his car going to Costco to pick up his kids some fruit, because that was their newest obsession. They were just in love with, I think it was blueberries or raspberries.
Yeah, they really loved them.
His kids just loved, like they were addicted to blueberry and raspberry. So we had him mid-grocery trip. This is pretty standard for Blue Jays today. But let's kick off this conversation, my friend, with something that we noticed on your show, Off the Roster. Congratulations, by the way, on a successful launch with all of that. We've been tuning in.
Thank you.
Really fun vibes. If you guys haven't already done so, highly encourage you guys go subscribe to them at the Nation Network YouTube channel. Go check them out. I was watching one of your more recent shows. I believe it was the one where you had George Springer on. And there was a moment where Lindsay flashed up this tweet, and it was a poll, and she asked you guys, she was like, give me some reactions on this poll. And I noticed you didn't have a chance to actually react to that. And the poll was talking about which Toronto Blue Jay may or may not be signed back. And that was between Scherzer or Bassett.
Right.
And it was Scherzer, Bassett, bring them both back or bring none of them back. And we never actually got a chance to hear what you thought about that. What are your thoughts on bringing back Max Scherzer, Chris Bassett, or both of them or none of them?
That's a great question. I was thinking about how the front office mitigates the risk of, oh my gosh, what's the word I'm looking for? Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Getting worse of regression.
Yes, that's it.
Mitigating getting worse.
I love it.
I'm an all-time disaster, but how do we avoid regression? And is that getting younger arms? Is that getting more, guys who are in their prime, who are a little bit closer to a proven commodity, but with a longer runway in moving forward? All I've heard is that Chris Bassett and Max Scherzer are great clubhouse guys. And that's a main ingredient for team success. Obviously, you need the offense, and obviously you need the defense via pitching. But if everybody likes each other, which is what we've heard the entire season, everybody got along, it was a great clubhouse, then maybe you roll the dice. But if Toronto wants to avoid what happened to Baltimore this year, firing their manager when in, 23, they had 100 wins. And what was that Minnesota team that Barrios was pitching against? And what was it, the fifth inning he's pulled? And that team is in a full rebuild 2 or 3 years later.
Yeah.
And obviously we are all optimistic about the team that this front office is putting together and building on last year's unbelievable and unexpected run. So to answer your question, I don't think we bring either one of them back.
Yeah, I'm actually in the same boat as you, and part of that reason is because they already went out and they got Dylan Cease. Last week they got Cody Ponce. So you added two guys that are part of what that is, that next window, right? These guys in the middle of their careers, they got some life left of them in terms of their baseball careers, and you could build upon that now, and you can have that be sustained for the next 3 to 4 years, whereas I think Chris Bassett was more of a let's fall back to the clubhouse vibes thing if we missed out on some bigger guys. They got those fish. Now you're looking at like this situation, this roster right now. It's kind of hard to see them fitting Max Scherzer, which is inevitably going to be a starter. Right now they're right now debating whether or not they should be trading Jose Barrios or keep him on the roster. Why would you add another, problem into this great problem, which is having 7 starting pitchers?
Listen, everybody always says it's a good problem to have, it's a good problem to have, until it becomes a bad problem to have, and guys that are good baseball players start losing playing time, and then immediately it becomes a bad problem. Now, you brought something up there when you were answering that question. You were talking about the vibes, and we've been hearing all offseason, all season too in 2025, but certainly all offseason, how fucking awesome the vibes are in the training in the
That's
Toronto
right.
Blue Jays
We swear
right
sometimes here. We swear.
I like it.
You're allowed,
very
you're
real.
allowed, brother. But you have obviously been in and amongst various clubhouses in your time. I think about those videos, back in the day when you're kind of joshing with Josh Donaldson and various others. So you've obviously seen some cool clubhouses. How important do you think the actual vibes are to the clubhouse? Because we can look at the batting averages and the OPSs and the ERA and statistic and number and blah, 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 blah. But the vibe, that's something that's not even quantifiable.
Great point. The first thing that comes to mind, and this is completely anecdotal, I don't think Barry Bonds' teammates really liked him. Do you remember when him and Jeff Kent got into a fight in the dugout? Oh, guys, you guys weren't even alive then. I'm sorry.
I probably was wearing diapers.
I'm so sorry.
Oh, good.
So my brain goes to the greatest player of all time, and I believe it's Barry Lamar Bonds.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a year where Jeff Kent won the MVP. I want to say it was like 1993. This is definitely before you guys were born.
Okay, yeah.
And the only time that I met Barry Bonds and I was in the Giants clubhouse, I saw where he sat, and his area was kind of private to like the rest of the clubhouse. If you guys have, for the audience or people who have never been in a clubhouse, it's a giant rectangle. But in San Francisco, he was like in a corner, but there was a bit of a partition that like walled him off from the rest of the room. It was very weird. And he had a giant lazy boy chair instead of like a regular bench or like a regular. And this is in 2004 when I met him, a long time ago. So vibes are important. And I'll tell you a story about you mentioned Josh Donaldson. One of the times that I was in the Jays clubhouse, this is probably 2015 or 16, we were just sitting on like a love seat in front of his locker. Literally 2 dudes, grown adults on a love seat, 2-seater. And
are you sure that this story is suitable for YouTube? Or like,
listen, I heard you say fuck earlier, so this this story is okay.
Okay, let's hear it.
Keep going, yeah.
We're sitting on my phone, and we're going through Barry Bonds's like season by season stats, and we're giggling like little girls because they were jump off the page, the screen, stupid, like they were video game numbers. But the fact that I got to do that until 6:15, I'm in there, and the game starts at 7:07, and previously, like earlier in that day, Russell Martin, John McDonald, Jose Bautista, Donaldson, we're all in this area. And we were and listen, I'm a member of the media. I have no business being back there just bleeping around with these guys. But here we are, we're actually gossiping about other guys in the league, and everybody's kind of giggling, having like their one-liners. And I won't say exactly what they said about Alex Rodriguez. but it was so cool.
I think I can fill in the blanks.
And it exceeded my expectation in those 2 years. Obviously, Donaldson in 15, talent wins over everything, but Donaldson in 15 wins MVP. 16, they also make a run to the ALCS. They get slapped by Cleveland, unfortunately, year before they lose to the Royals in the AL. But that team was like, they were bonded. There was a feeling of unity, and it was similar to what we saw in what we just experienced in 25. So it's important, but above that, talent's going to win, and talent is going to bring you to the promised land. It's going to deliver, because like you might have who was that? Oh my gosh, forgive me for forgetting his name. Who was that? The shortstop that was Japanese. That was like the best quote. Kawasaki.
Oh yeah, Munenori. Yeah.
Bananas, baby, bananas.
Yeah, and that guy was all vibes. But like, you got to have some top end talent in order to compete against the Dodgers, compete against whatever the hell the Yankees are going to do, whatever the hell the Red Sox are going to do, whatever the hell the Detroit Tigers are going to do, whether Illich is going to re-sign, open up the checkbook to re-sign Tarek Skubal or trade him for whatever haul he's going to get, maybe an NBA level haul and get 5 first-round picks for, Mikal Bridges or some other top, whatever Giannis Antetokounmpo is gonna get in return. I'm sorry that I'm making this a cross sports conversation, but my larger point is the front office knows that they can't get complacent, and last year's run was unimaginable and unbelievable. So we got to load up, bro.
Yeah, well, with that being said, they're already loading up. Do you think there's even more loading up to do? And who do you got the Blue Jays getting this offseason?
I sent Kyle Tucker a DM a couple days ago. No response.
Damn.
But I said,
man. I thought you were going to tell us something huge.
Oh, can you imagine? I said, bro, you're going to love Toronto if you come here. And he's expecting. So I don't know what most Americans think of Canada. And who told me this a long time ago? I'm sorry if this is name droppy.
All good.
Well, when Torrey Hunter was playing with the Angels,
yes,
he was telling me that there was a reputation. Now, this is 15 years ago. I believe it's changed because either Scott Boris's accountant or somebody with the Blue Jays is doing some moving some numbers around so that Dylan Cease can get a signing bonus paid to him in Ontario, California versus Ontario, Canada. I don't know if that's been confirmed, but that's a report that I saw so that he doesn't get murdered by the taxes.
Right.
But Torrey Hunter said back in the day, guys didn't want to play in Canada because of the double tax. Now, a guy that I was close to on the Raptors said there's a way around that and you can get that money back. But I'm not sure if the rank and file American athlete knows that you can get that money back in some way by some accountant at Deloitte and Touche, or maybe there's some new AI accounting platform that will be available on Google on friggin'
just ask ChatGPT. They'll figure it out.
Right. Yeah, that can figure it out, and you have to pay someone $500 an hour. You can just do it for free. So that remains to be seen. But it would be. I mean, obviously, my heart is with Bo Bichette, as many in the fan base's hearts are with Bo Bichette. But if Kyle Tucker, I'm trying to think of other Scott Boris's. Framber Valdez, although we don't really need another pitcher. If some of these big Kyle Schwarber hitting upper deck bombs to right field, right center field, it's great to traffic and hope. It's great to imagine. It's great to be optimistic. But I would love for us to re-sign Bo because we want to see Bo and Vladdy reach the top of the baseball mound together because they came up together, and that would be an incredible story. And that ESPN 30 for 30 or the Netflix doc would be unbelievable when that happens, when the Blue Jays finally win the World Series. And I hope that you guys appear on that documentary because you should, because your voices are important to the culture and to the baseball community in our city.
Well, we certainly appreciate that, man. Now, I will say we're gonna let you go relatively soon and keep talking about this, but there are some recent reports suggesting, hey, maybe Bo and Tucker, because maybe Edward Rogers is just a lunatic like that. We will get into that later, audience. But before we do, I have one final question for you, Cabbie. you're doing this whole off the roster thing. Talk to us a little bit about it, man. How are you liking it so far? You know,
any upcoming plans with it?
Like, is there any drama right now between you and the other co-hosts? Like fill us in, bro.
Bro, homie, we are 5 shows in. If there was drama already, there would be a major problem. Like huge, there'd be like the biggest red flag, a bigger red flag than what's in Raymond James Stadium for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So. Right now, man, we're just this is a fun experience for me because I've never, like you guys know, my clips are always 5 minutes and I'm in the athletes' faces, making them uncomfortable, trying to get a few jokes off, and having a conversation with the community and the audience every day for about an hour is a new experience for me. Lindsey Dunn and Dan Riccio are awesome. Mm-hmm. I'm from Toronto. My heart is in Toronto. I don't live there right now. I don't know if people really know that, but I'm in and out of the city all the time. And I will be in the studio there once our Toronto studio is built. But this is a cool experience for me. And then for people who are familiar with my work, the same hijinks I anticipate doing. I just posted an interview today with Cole Caulfield of the Montreal Canadiens and we wade into some kind of dicey waters. But I look forward to March, April, June when baseball's back. And I'm able to spend some time with Bo or Kyle Tucker. I interviewed Kyle Tucker in Houston. So I want to do like a follow-up interview when he's in a Blue Jay uniform and we're either in the batting cage or we're just, standing near home plate. And I'm asking him about stupid shit like Taylor Swift concerts and eating pizzas and all the regular stupidness that is a hallmark of one of my interviews.
God, I love it, man. I look forward to your content, and also I've watched your stuff all the time, especially during the 2015, 2016 era when I was in high school, and I was really becoming a diehard Blue Jay fan. So you entertained me through those years, and I'm sure you're going to entertain me as we move on. Also, I just want to throw this out here. We've got a comment here. This is from Chillflower saying, Cabbie still looks the same. So there you go. I don't know what you're doing, Cabbie, but it's really working, and people are noticing.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Chillflower. Appreciate you. Just soap and water and a face cloth for natural exfoliation, daily exfoliation, fellas.
There's some tips from Cabbie. Folks, go check out Off the Roster on the Nation Network YouTube. We certainly have been, and it is some great vibes. And listen, I know that we aren't Kyle Tucker or Kyle Schwarber or anything like that, but should we ever meet up in person, you ever want to get up and close in my face and make me uncomfortable, you got my permission, man. You got my permission for that.
Consent is important, so thank you for giving it to me on the front end. Thank you.
Awesome. Cabbie, you can go drive home now wherever you're at. And thank you for coming on. And guys, check out Off the Roster. Cabbie, have a good night, my friend.
Love, fellas. Much appreciated. Thank you so much.
Cheers, guys. That was Cabbie Richards from Off the Roster, at the Nation Network. You guys can check it out on the Nation Network's YouTube, as well as many streaming platforms as well, like Apple Podcasts and Google Play. Check it out, guys. Like we said, we brought on Dan last week. I believe we're going to get Lindsay on as well. She's actually going to be at the winter meetings. Yeah. And Nick and I are having a lot of plans where we're going to go and get her onto the show while she's down there. I believe they're in Orlando.
Boots on the ground, baby.
Boots on the ground and telling us what's happening. So if you guys want to be here and want to hear what she's got to say, come check it out as well. It's going to be a lot of fun, man.
Yes. Now, the biggest things that everybody is going to be talking about during those entire winter meetings, which, by the way, I saw people asking, when are they? They start on Monday. They go till Wednesday. They are in Orlando, and everybody's getting together, schmoozing, and doing that whole thing, and you know that deals are going to be transpiring. But the big question is Kyle Tucker going to go in this next period of time? And now, whilst I can't confirm or deny that is going to happen, we certainly know that his market is going to be heating up, as it has been up until this point. The Toronto Blue Jays, they still remain extremely active in that market, even after going out and getting Dylan Cease, and after signing Vladimir Guerrero Jr. to one of the biggest contracts in MLB history. They're still looking at Kyle Tucker, and his presumed contract is going to be close to Vladimir Guerrero Jr.'s.
Right.
They're the favorites right now, man. Still walking into winter meetings.
Yeah, and this entire week, it's felt like that's been solidified, that the Blue Jays are the favorites. It's because, all the rumors and the fact the Blue Jays weren't to the World Series and the fact that Kyle Tucker went and visited the Blue Jays facility. Now that's standard practice, but even, people are coming out and talking about it. We already talked about this earlier this week. John Morosi saying that it is a legit possibility, and I don't really think anyone's denying it anymore. I think what people are denying is that whether we're going to get him and Bo Bichette or him. Like, it's one or the other at this point.
Dude, the one thing that I keep coming back to about this whole Kyle Tucker stuff, and this is probably recency bias just because we haven't, let's face it, we haven't really heard too much other than the Blue Jays.
Right.
But, where is he gonna go? It would make sense if he was to go. Yeah, if it was not to be the Toronto Blue Jays. I could understand him going back to the Cubs. But, there's been reports coming out of there where it's like, that's not going to...
He's not going
to. It doesn't look like that he wants to do that.
It was a one-year thing.
They want to do that, right? So that would make sense to me, but that's kind of out.
Dodgers aren't going to go and spend that money again. I mean, they already have too much on the books.
I don't want to totally rule them out because it is LA and they could go crazy, but it does feel unlikelier than you think about the New York Mets, and I'll be honest, I haven't heard too much about them. It feels like they got bigger fish to fry right now, like that pitching staff. Yeah. And also,
they got Juan Soto.
They already invested a ton of money into the lineup.
So who will he go to? Are you going to go back to the
Yankees? Yeah. Well, they're not looking to spend big this winter.
That's the thing. I would think it would be the Yankees. If the Yankees could get in there, then I think they could convince themselves. That would make sense to me. Because they do need a center fielder.
Yes.
If you're not going to get Cody Bellinger, you go get Kyle Tucker. And so for me, that makes the most sense. That's why I think all roads are leading to Toronto right now, where there's an obvious fit in the lineup, in the field. You could argue, Santander's in right field. Whatever, move him to left field and put Kyle Tucker there. Boom, problem solved. It just feels too good to be true.
Exactly.
Right. Now,
so the one thing that I will say, and they bring it up here, and I was going to bring this team up as well. The one other squad, other than the Yankees, if the Yankees want to go and spend, then I could definitely see them being in on it. The other team that I do think is actually 100% legit and I could see them doing it is the Philadelphia Phillies.
Yeah, I can see that.
And I think about it because they're kind of in the same boat as we are. They're a really good team. They're in their window right now. They're losing, or they have one of their best players, actually their best player from last year. But let's just say one of their top three any given year is currently on the free agent market. So they're looking to obviously fill that hole. Kyle Schwarber is the individual that I'm talking about. And, should they not get him back, or should they maybe want to get a little bit younger in that position? Yeah. Obviously, Kyle Tucker would make a lot of sense.
That does make a lot of sense. So if you're really boiling it down to it's the Phillies or it's the Blue Jays, but who's got more motivation? You can make an argument that Phillies might, because they really need them. You really need to go get Kyle Tucker to bring yourself back up, because you didn't really go too deep last year.
No, you didn't.
Whereas the Blue Jays, you could argue that we were just a Dylan Cease away, and you go get Bo Bichette back, which feels likely. But I'm sticking with the whole narrative that it's Edward Rogers. We were this close. We haven't been able to cross that finish line, getting the big fish in the market. And this is finally the year they're going to do it.
That's why I'm getting so excited about this, is just because I don't think we're up against a motivated LA Dodgers like we have been in the past.
In the past, I had hopium. I literally had hopium. Okay, maybe he doesn't pick the obvious choice. When it was Soto with the Mets or Ohtani with the Dodgers. That was the obvious choice. And I was I'm hoping that we can sway their opinion. I don't think we have to sway his opinion at all.
No,
really.
I think that we are at least, if not the one obvious choice, certainly one of the obvious choices.
Yeah.
I do think Philly would make a ton of sense, and I could certainly see that. You go play with Bryce Harper. You want to talk about the taxes? Well, you don't have to worry about that anymore.
Apparently there's a workaround.
There's still but still, Philly, really good team, really good place to play, historical place to play over there, so that could make sense. But certainly you cannot rule out the Toronto Blue Jays in any capacity, whereas, like you said, in years prior, Ohtani, as much as we got really close, LA just makes the most sense geographically speaking, and from a roster construction standpoint, from an everything standpoint. And with Soto, the Mets were just way more motivated than any other team. Would Toronto, with Vladdy, where he was with his contract negotiations, would we ever have gotten up to 765? I can't say. I'm not sure. After a 74-win season, would we have gotten up to 765? I don't know. I'm not sure.
Yeah, and look, I again, with all that being said, we're obviously, I feel like we're right there, and is it crazy for me to think that in 10 days we're going to have Kyle Tucker committed to a long-term deal?
I don't think it's actually. I don't think it's crazy at all. Now, the one thing that is crazy, but for whatever reason, people keep talking about it, is having Kyle Tucker and Bo Bichette under contract.
Right. And the reason why that's crazy is because if you just zoom out for a moment, and if you watch the team sign a guy to $210 million, being Dylan Cease, then you go get the biggest guy for $400 million, and then you signed another dude for probably $200 million again, you'd be thinking this team's going lunatic. Like, they're going crazy.
I would think that we need to find a way to nerf that team's capabilities, because they must have some secret advantage that other teams don't have.
Right. But think about the past. The LA Dodgers already freaking did that one offseason when they committed to $1.1 billion. And I'm not asking the Blue Jays to commit $1.1 billion. It would be like $800 million. But still, like, it's not out of the realm of possibility because you've seen it happen before. The Dodgers were on their way up, and now the Blue Jays are on their way up to join them right now. And yeah, other people, they're now talking about it as a potential possibility. You know, you had Ken Rosenthal come out and, you know, this is Josh, a Jays fan, quoting this. I don't have the quote right here, but I'll just kind of paraphrase what he said. He was just saying, just like, you know, imagine a possibility of them getting Kyle Tucker and Bo Bichette. I could see that happening.
Yeah.
And then you sent me this. This was from John Heyman's Live on the Bleacher Report. He came out and said that he's not turning down the possibility of Toronto spending $600 million between Tucker and Bichette, which is roughly what that would be. So now you got other people in networks talking about that as an actual possibility. I think it's a small possibility, but it's not impossible.
So this has been kind of the argument that I've been seeing online, and this is not necessarily John Heyman's argument or John Roach. I don't want to put words in their mouth, but this is a large argument that I've been seeing on Twitter and through various columns, opinion columns, opinion pieces. It's the fact that Juan Soto would have, and now we know, would have actually been more than $600 million. And the Toronto Blue Jays were at least involved in those conversations, interested in giving him a contract like that. And what individuals are saying is that Toronto back then, they would have been capable of committing or willing to commit signing Vlad and Juan Soto. Now, we don't know that to be 100% true, because at that time, Vladdy was not under contract. So we don't know that to be 100% true. This is just the argument that people are making. They're saying, well, because we have Vladdy now, they would have been willing to do both of them. If they were, let's say, willing to do both, Vladdy and Soto, then theoretically, shouldn't they be willing to take that $600 million that did not go to Ohtani or did not go to Juan Soto and split it between Kyle Tucker, $400 roughly million right there, and Bo Bichette, 200 right over there. Now, I'm not saying that that adds up one-to-one, makes all of the sense, but this is the argument that we've heard online.
Yeah, because that's the thing, like, I believe Soto, he's, what, a 14-year deal or something like that?
It's a long contract.
So you spread that out, but where in Bo's case, like, I think at most he might get an 8. Like, some people are even arguing he gets like a 6, or maybe there could even be opt-outs, whereas like Kyle Tucker, you're looking at probably a 10. So you actually have more money condensed into this smaller period of time that you got to pay for. So it's actually, you're asking for a lot more. But I hear where people are coming from. If you just black and white it, that's what makes sense. But yeah,
I guess you're bringing up right now. I'm looking at Juan Soto's contract. I guess the question that you have to ask yourself, I suppose actually, you know, maybe it's starting to make a little sense here. So Soto gets paid roughly $62 million a year.
And then it goes down to 46.
And then later it goes down to 46.
I forgot he's got an opt-out.
But he's... Well, I mean, maybe he will. I don't know if he will or not.
I would never.
That's a lot of money to be leaving on the table.
No.
But either way, roughly right around these days, he gets paid $62 million. So I suppose the question that you have to ask yourself is $62 million, like, that's roughly what Tucker and Bo would get making. I think that those two collectively might make slightly more than that, because Tucker could be in the high 30s and Bo would probably be in the high 20s. So maybe just slightly more than that. Yeah. So I suppose that maybe that logic starts to kind of make a little bit of sense. Either way, though, it does still feel like one hell of a stretch.
Yeah, because if you did bring them both in, let's say that's $60 million between the both of them per year, you're looking at right now a payroll of $274 million. That's $334 million right there. That will be the number one payroll in all of baseball.
Yeah.
And actually, this is a great transition. I'm going to interject this right here because this is we have our mailbag coming in later in the show.
Feel free to ask some questions.
Yeah, ask some questions. The link's in the description. If you want to send in a question, and we'll bring it up on the screen, we'll do it right here. This is from number 263, so I don't know who that is, but if you're out there, shout out to you, asking, will the 2025 to 2026 offseason be Toronto's highest payroll ever? I would say, just from a franchise standpoint, yes, because
What is our highest ever? It must have been last year, right?
Yeah, I think it was last year. I believe now we are at the highest.
And what was? Wow, remind me what last year again? It was like
256. I want to say.
I believe it was like 250-ish.
Now we're at 273 or 274, something like that, and we still got to get one of Bo or Tucker. So I think we're going to be around that 300 million. But let me just rephrase that question a little bit, because I think, the answer is yes, because we already are there.
Holy fuck.
But will we have the highest payroll ever in MLB history? If you sign both of them, you would.
Well, I don't know if you would, though, because didn't the Mets have one that was like 350 or something?
Check out 2023.
Because I know the New York Mets had one that was absolutely insane at one point.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure if that. I know that, like, again, like they did. It's possible, though. It's certainly possible, because at some point, like, we're getting to the land of ridiculousness. So in 2024, the Mets had one of 350. In 2023, there it is.
Never mind.
So 376 was their 2023 one, the New York Mets. I don't see the Toronto Blue Jays eclipsing that mark, because that would just be.
Was that also including tax? Like, is
this
that
is
a tax
including
on tap?
everything. Yeah, this is including everything.
So I don't know. I don't know how the numbers would work out if you got both those guys with the taxes. Would it lift it that high?
Now, the Toronto Blue Jays projected total tax, this is everything, is $275. Okay. So effectively, it'd be tacking on $100 more million dollars. Right. Feels unlikely we're going to do that at this point, but you never know, man. I certainly think that Toronto is likely to have the highest amount of money on the books that they have ever had in the history of the franchise. Yep. And I can honestly say, like, and this isn't cap, this isn't even me exaggerating too much, top 5 payroll of all time, MLB history, likely to be coming, because you just all you got to do is bring back Bo Bichette, and you sign a relief pitcher, and let's say that's $40 to $45 million right there. Tack on a little bit of tax. Let's call it 50 even. Now you're looking at 325.
Yeah,
and that's got to be top 5.
Like at this point, I think Dodgers are sitting, because obviously they still got to make some moves, but like they're sitting about like $310 million. So you'd already beat that number, and they probably will surpass us. Yeah, they'll probably surpass us still, but you're looking at a top 3 payroll. Last year we're top 5. You're looking at a top 3 at least.
You know what's crazy is the LA Dodgers are sitting at 310, and Ohtani gets paid $2 million.
Yeah, that is what's crazy.
What's fucking
That's actually what's insane.
Right?
It's not the 70 mil.
No,
it's all the starting pitchers, man, and Freddie and Mookie.
Like even they're great. The best player of all time, their best player gets paid, effectively nothing, and their payroll is still like the highest in baseball.
Incredible. Let's give a quick shout out here to Rye Scartan. I can't remember that really good. Scranton Hockey. What up? 699 saying, sorry boys, bit late. Any chance we sign someone tonight? Maybe Kyle or Bo, and I agree with y'all. This year is for sure different. It's a domino effect. I'm glad you agree with us. Now, in terms of tonight, I do not believe that we're going to see a Kyle Tucker signing happening tonight. I believe it's going to happen probably maybe right at the end or after the winter meetings, because they got to have those negotiations. You got to get that ironed out. So you might see another, tertiary move, like maybe a closer. Like, I think a closer could happen from any time from now and to the winter meetings.
Yeah, I think that Toronto has proven that they can make a move at any point. So certainly don't rule it out ever, honestly. Mm-hmm. But Kyle Tucker just being who he is, there hasn't been enough of a ramp up. Realistically, it feels kind of weird, this Kyle Tucker sweepstakes right now, because there isn't much of a sweepstakes. It's like Toronto's the team, and like, we haven't heard anything about anyone else.
That's why I'm getting so hyped.
I know. It's like, this is the one thing that I will say about all that bullshit about, Kyle Tucker coming and visiting Toronto's facilities, whatever. I haven't heard anything about him visiting anyone else's facilities.
Yeah, at least not yet.
Not yet.
So he's got to have time to do that.
You know, you have to imagine that would happen, right?
Yeah.
Like,
and also too, like, you know, he, like we brought up before, he lives in Florida, so I feel like that was like the easy one off the checklist, so I can just do that.
Yeah.
Anytime, go do that, and then when things get maybe a bit more serious, whoever's like really coming down to the final offers, then I can go fly over and check them out, you know, as well. So. Yeah, again, it's a moving process. It's going to take some time, so don't be looking for a signing tonight if you're hoping for that. I don't think it's going to happen, my friends.
At least Kyle Tucker.
Yeah. We got more live streams to do following that, man. Almost with a 1044 with a $6.99 dono saying, guys, we are looking at it wrong. The payroll would be at $334 million for 1 year, but after this year, $80 million comes off the books. It's only 1 year. And I hear you, because you got George Springer coming off the books, you got Kevin Gosman coming off the books. Hell, you might even have Mr. Jose Barrios coming off the books. So we'll have another great offseason.
That's the thing. Here's the thing, Holmes. I mean, I think we're looking at it just right, actually. First off, 334 is ludicrous crazy mode. That feels like we're playing with Monopoly money. But second, like, you know, unless they have a 74-win season again, like if they make it in the playoffs and go on a run, or if they win the World Series next season, any one of those outcomes where there is marginal success, they're going to run it back again
and spend more money.
The only reason, the only way that they wouldn't do that is if quite literally the team would just totally collapse. It's like 70 wins. It's a fucking garbage fire. Like, what happened here? Then you don't want to reinvest money because you probably lost so much money the previous year.
Yeah, you got to run with what you invested the prior offseason.
100%. You wouldn't have the luxury of doing that anymore. But if they are going to do what I think a lot of us think that they're going to do, which is make a playoff push, and then hopefully, you never know what's going to happen in October, but hopefully it, goes deep, then they're just going to keep rolling that thing over.
That's the thing, right? They signed a lot of pitchers this offseason, but you actually got to sign more next offseason because you're going to be down another two. Like, we lost Max Scherzer, Chris Bassett. Next year, you could be down Jose Barrios and Kevin Gosman. So it's like, you got to go sign more, and you take that $80 million and reapply it, right? We got another dono in here from Jason with a $10 dono saying, show the dough, get Tuck and Bo, spend to earn, don't cheap out, crash and burn, cut the fat. There's no time for chat. No time for that. Oh, what a rhyme. I love that. There you go, Chase.
Yeah. Spitting right now. Wow. Snaps. Okay, there you go. Yeah, W's in the chat right there. Thank you, everybody that has liked, subscribed, donated. We appreciate this so much. We do this Friday show every single Friday throughout the entire off season. And next week, as the winter meetings are on, we'll be going live significantly more so. Let's transition from the Tucker Bo conversation. Can we get both? Let's talk a little bit about that bullpen, right? Because that is also an area of need. Arguably, actually, I don't even think it's arguable. I think it is the area of biggest need the Toronto Blue Jays. Sure, they got some names in there, but we certainly don't have anybody of Edwin Diaz's caliber. And, you look around the MLB, I think about some of those playoff teams that we were up against. Pretty much all of them had a better bullpen than we
100%.
did. We had a lineup that just cooked, but their bullpens were almost always better than Toronto.
And their starting pitchers. So, we went and addressed the starting pitcher market just like that. Great. We can feel confident rolling with that rotation next year. But we need to go address that bullpen, too. And, in any given year, we're looking at it right now, Jeff Hoffman, we already know what he could be at his floor. We saw it last year. That could happen again. Jimmy Garcia, what are we going to expect from him? He was hurt the last 2 seasons and hasn't been performing that great. I don't really know what to expect. Is he going to be healthy? Is he going to even be pitching? Louis Varland, I'm excited about. But, again, volatile bullpen could happen. He maybe take a step back or a step forward, whatever.
Yeah, we've seen floors from him as well.
Yeah, exactly, right? And, Tommy Nance, you can't be betting, no offense, Tommy Nance, can't be betting on Tommy Nance, can't be betting on Brendan Little, can't be betting on Gabriel Rodriguez, right? There's a lot of guys that aren't sure things here. You got to go get some sure things. And one of the guys that we felt pretty good about last year was Sir Anthony Dominguez. And
pretty good at times,
because, forget a flash over right here. that walk rate was atrocious. I mean, it was really, really bad. It's so funny whenever we brought in Brandon Little and everyone was worried about the walks, and everyone in the comments was screaming, "Bring in Sir Anthony!" I'm like, guys,
for whatever reason, like everyone thought that Brandon Little was like just. I mean, he was certainly a liability, but nobody felt the same way about Sir Anthony Dominguez. And I saw this crazy stat halfway through the season after we acquired him, which is that both like Brandon Little was number one in walk percentage, and Sir Anthony was number 2. and everyone was
a little bit better.
Yeah, it was like literally marginally better than Brandon Little when it comes to the walks. And luckily for us, I mean, the ERA was still good, and he still was a solid pitcher for us in 2025.
Yeah.
That is obviously something that would need to be improved upon. But it feels like we haven't talked about him a whole lot when we're bringing up the bullpen conversation. We're talking about Edwin Diaz. We're discussing Pete Fairbanks. And I do still think that you need to be looking into both of those individuals, because Jeff Hoffman at the closing spot doesn't give me a nice warm fuzzy feeling anymore like it did in April. Okay, it makes me a little uneasy. I want to go and get somebody that is a sure thing like one of those two guys, but I'd also love to build out the rest of the bullpen a bit more. And Sir Anthony Dominguez, whilst he had his faults, the walks, he was also really good at times, and a 3.16 ERA coming out of the pen, I wouldn't complain about it.
Yeah, I mean, we need to get some sort of middle relief help regardless. You know, last year when we got Jeff Hoffman, who else did we get? Nick Sandlin. Now he didn't pitch that much, and he's actually not even on the team anymore. But you still need to go and get somebody to pitch in the middle reliefs, like you know. And I think we got some good depth after this season. Like you got Fluharty, who's not even on the roster right now, according to Fangraphs. But like Fluharty, the lefty, can come up and pitch. But you're gonna need some more power right there, and he provides a little bit of power in that bullpen from the right-handed side. I wouldn't mind it at all to go fill out the roster. But again, eyes got to be kept on that closing role, because Jeff Hoffman right now, you know. Yeah, I mean, look, take the pressure off him, man. I've been saying this for a time now, and if you are an OG here, you have heard me say this before, but I'll say it again. Like, you gotta get rid of the whole closing role. Like, give him a step back right now. You don't have to be that guy. Just make your pitches, and we can put you in lower leverage spots. We can split you time between, you know, if we get Pete Fairbanks, you and Pete Fairbanks. Like, you could split that role. Like, I think that would be so much more beneficial, and he pitched better when he was in the 8th inning. When the minimal times he did, very small sample size, he did, right? So we'll see what happens, but, you know, if you get Edwin Diaz, then he's automatically in the 8th inning.
Yeah,
and there's a lot
Edwin
less
Diaz
pressure.
makes it very simple. I mean, we know the rules immediately. Sir Anthony, like, he doesn't, maybe he does, maybe he doesn't, but it's not like an immediate you're taking over for Jeff type thing. There would still be some questions there. Now, I see some people in the chat. Also, quick shout out here to Money Dude 3291, $5 donation. If there's an offseason to spend in, it is this one. Next year's free agent class is not looking pretty. Good to know. I haven't really looked ahead too much at next year's free agency class, but certainly a good tidbit right there, right? I mean, maybe there is no Kyle Tucker, so you go get that guy right now, and then you don't have to worry about it next year. But I see some people in the chat talking about Little, saying that he's got to be waived. We've got to move on from Brandon Little. The sad truth is that we don't have any other lefties.
Other than
Fluharty.
Other than Flu.
Who is
But
also...
Now we're running into the same problem we had last year going into the season, where it's like now all the pressure's on Flu. And like now we can't waver. Like you can't be a human being and make mistakes.
Yeah.
Which is impossible to ask from a relief pitcher. Or you know what I mean? So
I do think, though, and the problem is there's just not that many of them. If they could go out and they could target a lefty reliever in the free agency market, over the moon about it. Love it. Because I would like to take Brandon Little out of the spot where you are the only guy that we have to go to in these situations. I don't hate the fact that, you know, John Schneider likes to play the matchups. Sometimes I do. But large in part, okay, there's some numbers to back that up. Those numbers don't back it up anymore, though, when your guy walks the first 2 batters that he faces and then hits the next one. Like, those numbers start to go out the window when that happens, and that's obviously what Brandon Little did. If we want to bring those splits back into play, getting another quality lefty would obviously be ideal. And if you can't do it from the free agency standpoint, maybe a little trade involving Jose Barrios. Would anybody be willing to do that? Because I'd be interested.
I brought that up in my my video room. Like, that's kind of the value that he'd have, right? A guy...
You mean middle lefty?
Yeah,
in the
lefty. Yeah, for a couple years we got him signed to, or you know what I mean, or whatever his contract might be. Like that'd be That'd be great. That'd be great. Go ahead and add that, man. So we'll see what they do here. Actually, this is a great transition because we got a couple mailbag questions. We got Connor in here asking us, Connor Smith, shout out to you. Thank you for your question. Who would you like to see the Jays land next? Just like, who would you like to see them land next? Basic question, but in any position, which would you like to see go to the Jays? So, who would you like to see him land next?
Basic question, but in any position, which would you? I'm assuming you mean like position group, right? Yeah, like there.
Let's throw in the pitchers as well, like closer, starter.
Well, I'll tell you what, man. I mean, it's a basic answer from me because who would I like to see come to the Jays next? It is Kyle Tucker. He is the best available guy there. However, I would certainly love, like to our point that we're making right now, love to see Edwin Diaz become a Toronto Blue Jay. That makes things so much easier in the bullpen. It makes it clean. It makes it unquestionable. I want to listen to Enter Sandman as he walks into the Roger. I want to see that shit, man. And you want it, we're talking about a position group that would be addressing the closing spot, which when you look at like just an overall, think about that WAR swing. Jeff Hoffman, what was his WAR last year? Was it negative? It would have been pretty close.
It was around 0.
It would have been pretty close.
0.5, yeah.
Right, and I think it's different on Fangraphs too. It might have even been negative on Fangraphs. Whereas Edwin Diaz, you're tacking on another 2.5 extra wins. Maybe one of those 2.5 extra wins comes in Game 7 of the World Series. I don't know.
Yeah, you never know. You never know. So like, yeah, I don't. My answer is the exact same thing. Like, I would want to get Kyle Tucker next, obviously. Give me the best free agent available. But if I were to make a prediction on who's coming next, my guess is Pete Fairbanks. I think Pete Fairbanks is a Blue. It feels like a Blue Jay right now. Edwin Diaz feels almost too sexy, and like I know we've been talking to his agency, but I'm gonna lean on the conservative side and think we're spending that money on the big fish in the offense, and then we're gonna get like a Pete Fairbanks.
I would like also be totally fine with this.
Because I could see Ross Atkins being like, well, we already spent on a closer last year.
Right.
So let's just go get Pete Fairbanks. You know, that could also help close, but, you know, it doesn't going to break the bank. And then we'll save that money. No, not like they're really saving money. They're splashing it. But, like, go send that money elsewhere in the Kyle Tucker area.
I see someone in the chat saying, my mom told me if I don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all, so I won't say anything about Kyle Tucker. I'm curious to know, like, where is the hate involved with Kyle Tucker? Like, I don't really get that.
Please state your argument.
Exactly.
I would love to hear it.
When I look at him as a player, I think about him as one of the more complete players in MLB. Yeah. He's got speed. He's got power. He's got contact. He's like, there's not, genuinely, what are we missing here?
Yeah,
like consistency. He's been consistent his whole fucking career.
Like other than like got injured in 2025, but he was the MVP until he got injured halfway through the season.
He was really damn good.
I mean, like
in fact, he's never been bad.
I know, dude. Like, look at this. Like, it's just great. Like, it's greatness upon greatness, and like you could throw this guy in the outfield, not feel bad, and like I know his outside average is at 25th, but the arm is pretty good. You know, like he fits well with the Blue Jays. Great contact, even the slug too. Like he'll hit you 20 to 30 every single year. Yeah. And hell, with the Blue Jays, does he hit even more? Does he even have a better year? Like this is the replacement for George Springer. Like everyone's thinking about like, okay, well, can George Springer really repeat again? My answer would probably be no, because
to a lesser extent.
To a lesser extent, like maybe he's a mid to low 800 OPS guy next year, not the 900 OPS guy, because that was crazy what he did last year. But once he leaves after 2026, boom, there's Kyle Tucker right in the middle of his prime, doing what we all wanted George to do when he first came to Toronto.
Exactly. It feels like you're turning that over, and you'd be getting him even younger than when we got George. We got George when I think he was 30 or 31. Yeah. One of the two. This guy's 28 right now.
Perfect.
There's a nice handful of years right there where you're going to see some elite level performances from Kyle Tucker. So I don't really understand the hate there. I mean, you're talking about, like, he's the definition of a 5-2 player for me.
Yeah,
so.
like I don't get it. But please make your argument be known. Send us a question in our mailbag. Maybe we'll talk about it in another episode. Chilltown All-Star also just became an elite member, by the way. So shout out to Chilltown All-Star. Thank you for joining the community. We've got one final thing to talk about, and I thought this was just the coolest thing ever. Shout out to Mish, by the way, who DM'd us this on Twitter. I don't know if you've seen it yet, but the new Sick Kids commercial where they had Freddie Freeman. So it was Ryan Reynolds, and they were talking about like how we got this special guy for a Sick Kids ad. He's an Ontario hero and an LA hero. Let's welcome in Freddie Freeman. And Freddie Freeman walks into to this like Sick Kids hospital room where they're playing games and stuff, this rec room. And the kids, I'm not gonna play it for copyright purposes, but they just go after him. They're all wearing Blue Jays gear, and I love it. Freddie's, I actually respect Freddie from outside from like an LA Dodger standpoint. Like obviously he's a great guy. Obviously represents Canada all the time. But like the fact that he even like agreed to do something like this, it's just so cool. Like, so shout out to Freddie Freeman and shout out to Sick Kids for a great ad.
Yeah. I mean, like come on, right? Like he understands.
He understands.
He literally
the excitement,
he beat the Canada team.
Yeah, exactly.
He beat the Canada team.
It's hilarious.
So.
It's like a perfect situational comedy thing. Like it was actually great.
Yeah, and apparently, I think Ryan Reynolds came out and said like we had this guy for a while. But,
he's like, yeah, this sounded like a lot better idea back in March.
Yes, yeah, when the Jays were irrelevant. And then they became very relevant very quickly. We're gonna take a couple of your questions from the mailbag real quick, guys, before we sign off. But thank you so much to the 487 individuals that are watching right now and enjoying this content. If you haven't already done so, please hit that like and smash the subscribe button. I think I see, it was Chillstown All-Star that said that that upgraded his membership. And he just says, thought you guys deserve more money. Been subbed for years, by the way. Well, we appreciate you.
Thank you, man.
We try our best to put as much into this as we can, make it as genuine and as raw as possible, and just give you guys the most. So those of you who appreciate the coverage, we just appreciate you. Daniel in here asking, do you think the Jays would put Jose Barrios in a package along with some MLB-ready players for someone like Ketel Marte? And I think that you need some MLB-ready players to be in that package to even make it worthwhile for Arizona.
Yeah, I feel like, because Ketel Marte is going to cost a hell of a lot. Honestly, you're coughing up a guy like Ernie or Barger, someone in the infield, right?
Definitely, guaranteed.
Especially Ernie, too. You could probably convince them to take Ernie, Jose, and maybe like a middling prospect or something for a guy like Ketel, like, hey, we're going to eat that contract. And not like it's a big contract anyways. And we're going to take him on, but you can take like Ernie's got lots of years control, super cheap. You get a pitcher that you've been losing over the last couple of years, and then this prospect for the future. Like, I could see something like that happening. Maybe a top prospect, even if
I think it'd be a top prospect.
It'd be a top prospect.
Keep in mind too, like
Jose
Barrios. I know that your argument there is like, well, we're eating Ketel's contract.
It's not a big contract.
Well,
no.
I mean, it's a very favorable contract.
Yeah.
He's a very good baseball player, and then they would also have to eat Jose's contract,
yeah, that's
and
fair.
it's like,
but it's shorter, a little shorter,
depending if he picks up the years.
Yeah.
That's honestly the biggest question.
Yeah,
if he's going to do that.
Like more thinking about it more, it would probably be like Ricky T.
Yeah.
Like here's your for now pitcher, and then here's the next pitcher.
Yes,
you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So
and then that would make sense.
Like, you gotta ask yourself, would I be willing to trade away Ernie, Ricky T, and Jose Barrios for Ketel Marte? It's a tough question. I mean, you're nodding yes?
I would do it, man. Listen, I mean, like Ketel Marte, Ernie was, I think a lot of us are remembering. I mean, Ernie had an amazing season. I don't want to take anything away from it.
He's the heart.
But obviously, a lot of us are remembering the 30 hits in the playoffs. And like that recency bias of literally having the record of the playoffs is clearly going to be weighing us to think, oh, we could never get rid of this guy. It would never happen. Ketel Marte has been and will continue to be the best second baseman in baseball. And he's been doing that for years. And he's on a relatively cheap contract that would be with you for years. So, I mean, I'm going to take the guy that finishes top 5 in MVP voting every year.
For me, maybe I am leaning on what you're saying. I think this guy's just got too much. He's connected to too much of this team, the heart and soul. And what I've been saying for a long time, this team, like, the vibes are unbelievable. I think Ernie's this, like, part of that core. I don't know. It feels uncomfortable for me after a team that, like, you saw the heart and soul on the sleeves, and then just to fucking ship him out of here. It's like, it'd have to be a different guy, is what I'm kind of saying, maybe. Like, if they want to get a different guy, take that guy. Ernie feels like
who would be that guy though? Because I think like Addison Barger would be the same thing.
That's where it's like I think like you try to convince them, Jose, and then we're giving you like our top prospects that aren't on this team. Like we want to keep this core because we know it works, and like why would we want to kind of fuck around. I want to add to the core. I don't want to subtract. You know what I mean? So like that's where I'm kind of at. That's why if they ask for ready now players, I'd probably just say no. Like I'll load up my top prospects. I'm okay with that because those guys aren't on the team that brought us to the World Series. All I care about is the World Series. Keep those guys, trade away those guys. That's where I'm kind of at with that.
I hear it. I get it. I do disagree with it, but you guys let us know in the comments down below. What do you think about it? We got another question in here from Cam Mitchell. If you guys haven't already done so, I can't promise that we're going to get to all of them today.
Yeah.
We likely won't. But
probably our last one because I got to go soon, actually.
All right, well then toss your questions into the mailbag and we'll get to them next week. Cam Mitchell says, now that we have Dylan Cease, does this mean we can't go out to get any more free agents excluding Bo Bichette? I mean, Cam, you must have asked this question before we hit record on the or go live on YouTube.
Yeah, this was right after last week's episode. So, yeah, I guess this is a good one to finish off with to kind of circle it all back. We are going to get a hell of a lot more. Cabbie even thinks so. The world thinks so. MLB Network people think so. I would bet my life that we make one more move. You know what I mean? One big move.
Yeah, I mean, dude, that's like negative 10,000.
Yeah, negative
right
one
now.
big move, and by big move I mean like Kyle Tucker, Bo Bichette, some sort of like Japanese star, Kazuma. I think his name is Kazuma.
Yes.
Yeah, Kazuma, like something like that. Like we go make a significant spending purchase for someone else.
I would be thoroughly shocked and honestly very disappointed at this. I know this is the life of luxury, but I'd be really disappointed at this point if one of Tucker or Bo, or I guess you could lump, like if you wanted to make it Schwarber instead, like you could lump them in. But like if we don't end up with one of the top bats, and what I'm looking at as the top bats is Tucker, Bo, Bregman, Alonso, Schwarber.
Yeah.
One of those guys needs to be a Blue Jay. I think it's most likely that it would be the first two that I mentioned. If you had to fall back and get one of the other ones, okay, yeah. I'm not going to complain if Pete Alonso's a Blue Jay. I certainly won't. But one of those 5 individuals needs to be a Toronto Blue Jay. With everything that we've heard, with how they're spending money, with how they're just fucking throwing money at all of it right now, I'd be shocked if one of them wasn't a Blue Jay.
And it's crazy. Years past, we were hoping, like I said, we had a lot of hopium. Now it's an expectation. We are supposed to sign one of these guys, which is going to make this winter meetings coming up next week a hell of a lot more exciting. Guys, that's where we're going to end the show tonight. If you enjoyed our interview with Cabbie, please hit that like button, smash subscribe button. If you enjoyed our commentary and coverage of the Blue Jays offseason, don't worry. There is a lot more coming soon. You got a video coming out tomorrow. We're going to be live actually Sunday night. And then, of course, throughout the entire week, podcast in the morning, live show at night. It's going to be a fun one, guys. We can't wait to see you all there.
Yeah, please make sure to hit that like, smash that subscribe button. Shout out to everybody that's a YouTube member, guys. $4 a month, become a YouTube member. It's just so amazing that you guys do that for us. We really do appreciate it. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. And as always,
go Chase, go!